Welcome to Lost in Revision. All of our content is public domain, literature, fairy tales, and folklore. We look at stories through an irreverent and lighthearted lens in our discussion episodes, and our daily stories are a fun way to listen to the original versions in a short format that can fit into most people's schedules. If you prefer to listen to full chapters, you can subscribe to our Patreon page. We just added a $1 option that provides early access and more. You can check the show notes for our Linktree page, where there are links to all of our public pages, ways to contact us, and all of our content. Our goal is to at least break even to cover our expenses, so any support that you can offer to help us reach that goal helps keep this podcast going and you entertained. All of our music is by Nathan Hubble and is used with his permission. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
How Robin Hood Came to be an Outlaw. Part 7. So turning their backs upon the stream, they plunged into the forest once more, through which they traced their steps till they reached the spot where they dwelled in the depths of the woodland. There had they built huts of bark and branches of trees, and made couches of sweet rushes spread over with skins of fallow deer. Here stood a great oak tree with branches spreading broadly around, beneath which was a seat of green moss where Robin Hood was wont to sit at feast and at merrymaking with his stout men about him. Here they found the rest of the band, some of whom had come in with a brace of fat does. Then they all built great fires, and after a time roasted the does and broached a barrel of humming ale. Then, when the feast was ready, they all sat down, but Robin placed Little John at his right hand, for he was henceforth to be the second in the band. Then, when the feast was done, Will Stutely spoke up. "It is now time, I ween, to christen our bonny babe. Is it not so, merry boys?" And "Aye, aye," cried all, laughing till the woods echoed with their mirth. "Then 7 sponsors shall we have," quoth Will Stutely, and hunting among all the band, he chose the 7 stoutest men of them all. "Now by St. Dunstan," cried Little John, springing to his feet, "more than one of you shall rue it, an you lay finger upon me." But without a word they all ran upon him at once, seized him by his legs and arms, and holding him tightly in spite of his struggles, and they bore him forth while all stood round to see the sport. Then one came forward who had been chosen to play the priest because he had a bald crown, and in his hand he carried a brimming pot of ale. "Now, who bringeth this babe?" he asked right soberly. "That do I," answered Will Stutely. "And what name callest thou him?" "Little John call I him." "Now, Little John," quoth the mock priest, "thou hast not lived heretofore, but only got thee along through the world. But henceforth thou wilt live indeed. When thou livedst not, thou wast called John Little. But now that thou dost live indeed, Little John shalt thou be called. So I christen thee." And at these last words he emptied the pot of ale upon Little John's head. Then all shouted with laughter as they saw the good brown ale stream over Little John's beard and trickle from his nose and chin, while his eyes blinked with the smart of it. At first he was of mind to be angry, but found he could not, because the others were so merry. So he too laughed with the rest. Then Robin took this sweet, pretty babe, clothed him all anew from top to toe in Lincoln green, and gave him a good stout bow, and so made him a member of the merry band. And thus it was that Robin Hood became outlawed. Thus a band of merry companions gathered about him, and thus he gained his right-hand man, Little John. And so the prologue ends. And now I will tell how the Sheriff of Nottingham 3 times sought to take Robin Hood, and how he failed each time.
I hope you're enjoying the stories. We sure are enjoying creating this for you. If you go and sign up on Patreon, you can listen without having to hear me talking in the intro and outro. For only $3 a month, you get the full chapters as soon as I have them edited, and you have your own personal RSS feed with no interruptions. We just added a $1 option that provides early access and more. We also have an account with buymeacoffee.com if you want to support us that way. So check out our link tree in the show notes for all of the best ways to get in touch and support the show.
There's a lot more waiting for us all at the end of the road.